If you grew up watching The Lion King and you currently struggle with trusting your intuition or honoring a path that looks a little bit different, this video is for you, okay? We are diving into my Disney Reprogramming Series. I did a few videos about this in the past, and then I was moving away from Mexico, traveling Ecuador, getting back here in Canada, just busy with life and with business and adventures and stuff. But I have been wanting to hop on and start diving into more of the ways that these different characters and movies that we probably watched, I for one watched them all the time, how they have deeply impacted our beliefs throughout life and how they end up creating unconscious beliefs that affect you later. So today we are diving into The Lion King and we're taking a look at Rafiki, because Rafiki is kind of the wise old sage archetype who sees things, he feels things, he knows things, he's in tune with nature, right? And herbs and like all these different things that back in the day were very normalized, and society has continued to try to make it look more and more crazy, more and more out there, more and more weird, in an attempt to disconnect us from the earth and from things that are actually natural. So when we look at Rafiki and the way that even though he's got this wisdom and he's obviously revered because, you know, he has the honor of holding Simba up and presenting him and working alongside Mufasa, the king, like he obviously has his role and is respected in certain ways. But there are also a lot of other areas in the movie and like little scenes where he's kind of judged or he's made to look extra creepy and weird. And you're kind of watching it and you're like, what is this guy doing right now? And even when he's talking to Simba grown up, there's just these things that make you kind of question his sanity. And if you watch this movie all the time, then what this was programming in your subconscious was a judgment towards intuition, a judgment towards kind of the natural elements that he embodied, and to being different, right? He was truly one of a kind. And obviously, we are all unique little little stardust, or like unique little butterflies and stuff. But he especially was like one of a kind in that movie, whereas there were other animals that had their herds and tribes and communities and families, like that there were one of many, right? So you see this character who is one of a kind, but is also kind of weird and out there and clearly in tune because he was connected to Simba, to realizing that Simba was still alive just because of the breeze and the wind, right? All these things, but we still kind of question him. And I know for myself, learning to fully trust my intuition in a world that has always kind of revered and prioritized logic has been really challenging. And this movie was a perfect example of one of the places where it kind of stemmed from. So obviously I'm not saying that just these few scenes alone would have like changed your relationship to your intuition, but what I am saying is that it would have impacted, and it would have been pieces of the puzzle that continued to then create this different relationship to your intuition than you could have had otherwise, right? If we think of any other characters, right? Or even just the ways that Disney movies in particular kind of villainize people or make other characters the hero, the traits that they embody and the characteristics that they have are things that we subconsciously either look for and attach to. And we want to be more like the hero, right? We want to be more like the strength and the courage and like the love and these things that they embody. And when we see a villain, for example, with these characteristics and traits that we don't like, we don't want to be like them at all, right? Unconsciously, we're already separating into these categories. And this is stuff that your subconscious holds onto. Your subconscious stores all these different things in its little filing cabinet, and then it influences the way you see the world later. Bringing this back around to Rafiki, if, like me, you kind of saw him as a little bit crazy and odd and weird and different, and you connected the fact of the other characteristics he had, then you are unconsciously connecting all these things together in a little package and then sorting the rest of your life from that lens. So you see him connecting to the earth, or you see him trusting his intuition, or you see him believing in spirit and that Mufasa is still alive, right? You see him kind of connected to herbs and to the wind and to picking up on the fact that Simba is still alive. All these things that are kind of out there or kind of different, not really the average everyday thing. If you saw, even unconsciously, right? This is always happening in our brain no matter what. But you saw all these different characteristics he had, and then you saw kind of the wacky ways that he showed up in other scenes, or the ways that like some of them looked to him at times, or anything. That is being filtered into your subconscious, and you will associate these things together unknowingly. So I've worked with a lot of women over the years inside my coaching business, privately, in group programs and group coaching calls, and in events and retreats and workshops. And one of the biggest things that I've seen women struggling with is the confidence in themselves, but also that ability to trust their intuition and to trust the deep inner knowing that they're picking up on or they're sensing, right? And this comes from childhood. It comes from the fact that in our upbringing, we didn't learn to believe in ourselves. We didn't learn to honor the intuition. We didn't learn to stay in the imagination or to trust the things we were feeling. And instead, we were often dismissed by parents, by teachers, by society in general, right? All these incredible intuitive gifts that you probably had born into you, because we are energetic beings first before we are physical beings. So that connection to energy is there. I also believe the connection to the earth and to nature and to things that are natural and organic, and life-giving. I really truly believe we're all born with that innate sense, but then it is programmed out, because if the environment around us doesn't support that or doesn't empower that, it strips it away, then it's really challenging for us to continue to think it's normal or to continue to go down that path. And the perfect way to visualize this and like ask yourself if this isn't already resonating, please feel free to let me know if this is like bringing up any light bulbs for you or aha moments. But if you're struggling to discern right now if this could be something for you, I invite you to first take a moment to reflect on your own childhood and what the environment was like regarding intuition, regarding play, regarding the energetic connection of things that you might have picked up on, right? I know I was with my imaginary friends, but also with like angels, and I truly believe now as an adult that they were multidimensional beings I was very connected to as a child. Obviously I didn't realize that at the time, and I just thought they were imaginary friends. But now, as I've like deconditioned so much of the weight of decades of programming and reconnected deeper to my heart and to God, and I have these multidimensional beings and visits and conversations, and like this whole world has just blown open for me. I'm like, wow, as a kid I actually was tapped in. I was like very aware. But then I started to feel like it wasn't safe to trust that because it was different. And my imagination stopped being given so much power, maybe because it was all about seriousness and about school and grades, and then it was competitive sports and really a lot of things that took me out of my heart and out of my creativity. So reflecting on your own childhood and whether you can relate to me or not, just taking a moment to connect to like, what was your experience like? And then if yours was anything like mine, taking a moment to envision if your parents or your caregivers, your teachers, like whoever was involved in those early years, if they had been super supportive of intuition and energetics and these kinds of things, how much differently would you have felt? Right? It's like this intense shift and this huge breakthrough of like what your normal wasn't necessarily normal for everyone else. A lot of times there's similarities, especially with generational connections and generational programming. But if you had grown up, like, even I can just say, like, if I have kids one day, because I believe in my intuition so much and I believe in what I've seen and experienced and my connection to the unseen realms, like my babies will be so empowered to trust their imagination. They'll be so empowered to trust their intuition and to realize that like that gut instinct or that feeling, that sensation, that little ping, right, is so important to listen to. And I won't gaslight them and tell them, oh, that's nothing. Don't listen to that. Ignore that. What's your mind telling you? No, that doesn't make sense, right? Or you think of even how often as children we are told, like, you have an off feeling about someone and like you don't want to give that uncle a hug, or like someone, it doesn't feel good to you and you say you don't want that, but then a parent says, oh no, go do it, right? Or like holidays, like, oh, they gave you a gift so you need to go, you know, give them hugs and say thank you. But like if as a kid you felt creepy vibes from them and everything in you and your intuition, your sense of self is saying don't do that, right? Something feels off. But then you're told by another parent or another caregiver or another authority to ignore that, then you are learning to dismiss and to disconnect from something that is so crucial to your safety, your health, your happiness, your overall quality of life. And bringing that back around, if you had the opposite experience, if you had very in tune, very aware, very deeply connected caregivers, you would have grown up with that, like, nurtured and empowered, and you'd feel so confident in embracing it. You wouldn't question or doubt yourself when those feelings come through because you would have been taught what they are and how to trust them and how to ride the wave and flow with them, right? And this is what's so important with everything in our subconscious programming. You know, whether it's Rafiki from The Lion King or whether it is connected to any other, I hope it's not too loud. There is a tree branch being sawed down there. Hopefully it's not too loud. Whether we're looking at any of those movies or any of the programming or any of the, like, programming from movies, media, TV shows, books, songs, and also programming from like family, society, religion, culture, right? When we're looking at it across the board in any dynamic, if you were programmed in with limited things, and literally every single one of us was, because that's how things have worked on this planet, then that is stored in your subconscious. And the most important and most empowering thing you can do is start to learn how to discern between what is an ultimate truth and what is just a piece of programming. I'm going to say that again. Learning to discern between what is an ultimate truth and what is just a piece of the programming. Because a piece of the programming is something you just picked up somewhere and it latched on. It has these little hooks, right? It like clamps in to your subconscious, and then you carry on every day with that there, right? It's like a little gremlin that's like latched on, and now he's coming along for the ride with you for the rest of your life. But it's not truth, not an ultimate truth at least. It might be true 50% of the time. There might be some people who seem intuitive and they seem a bit crazy. There might be some people who, fit into a category in a certain way and match our projections or expectations. But if it's not true 100% of the time, across the board, regardless, it's not an ultimate truth. That means it is just a little gremlin that's following us along and now influencing the way we see the world, the way we see ourselves, the way we show up, the things we believe are possible, the things we continue to give power to or not give any power, right? If you had a gremlin that hopped on that said, intuition is crazy, I can't logically explain it, so there must be something wrong with it. I can't prove that what I just felt was real, so I should dismiss it and listen to something my mind is telling me. That's like a little gremlin that is going to come with you through every single decision in your life. So every single time you have that feeling, you're going to have that gremlin there, and it's going to remind you, oh, you can't trust that. It's not safe, right? And conversely, if you had the absolute opposite, and it's not a gremlin that's attached, it's like a little rainbow unicorn, that's like, it's safe to trust these feelings. Your intuition is your guiding force, right? Like it's this lamppost, you can trust it. Remember all these other times that you were right? If you had that latched on, and then you went throughout your day, and now today something comes up and you're at this crossroads and you're like, your logical mind is waffling the pros and cons, you don't know what to do, and then this intuitive guidance comes in and it feels so clear in your channel, so deep and safe in your body. And you've got instead of the gremlin, you've got the little unicorn, and it's like, there it is. Here's the path, right? Imagine how much more peaceful and enjoyable your life would be. Being able to fully honor and trust that. So this is so much of the work that I do inside my programs, and so much of the work that I do with clients and with reprogramming, because it truly is about deprogramming or deconditioning, clearing out everything that's not you, everything that's not divine truth, right? It's just a plant, it's just hooked in there, but it's not true all the time. When we clear that stuff out, and that happens first through awareness, but then second through mindfulness, meditation, breath work, subconscious reprogramming, that's where I do my quantum healing hypnosis, like being able to really, really extract and differentiate between what is supporting you and what is keeping you stuck, and removing the stuff that's keeping you stuck, then you have this like open space where now we can plant in the supportive beliefs to get you where you want to be. And it goes so much further than just being able to trust your intuition or that intuitive guidance and your higher self or your connection to source and the emotions and feelings, right? It's so much more than that. It's about being able to truly align with all the gifts, all the powers that you were born with, but that limited conditioning and all those gremlins are like holding you back from. So I've dropped a link down below for all the different resources I have, including the quantum healing hypnosis courses that can help you with these different things, but also a ton of free hypnosis activations, other trainings and 3-day programs, my Thrive course, like If you want support with any of these things I've talked about, you can please just send me a message on Instagram and I can help you find the best fit for you, or dive in, take a look at all the links, see what resonates, trust that intuition because it's not crazy, and follow what feels best to you or most aligned, and start this work. Start reprogramming. Start learning how to trust who you are and all that you're created to be, and no longer let these simple little movies, right? Simple things from childhood that are so easy to dismiss. And a lot of people do dismiss it. I have a lot of people around me when I go back to Canada in my environment who really have no clue of how much like one little thing from childhood can impact the entire belief system. But I sit here and I watch them and I'm like, yeah, I can guess and I could probably guarantee that like they experience this specific thing because they're stuck in this pattern or they're acting this way. And like we don't have to be stuck in that. You have the tools, the power, and your consciousness is powerful enough to do it once you understand and once you make the conscious decision to move forward. So nothing has to hold you back. Check out the links for more support. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm thankful to have you here, and I'm sending you so much love on your journey.